sad. You are going, Lisa, to see your family over Christmas.
Yes.
Tell me the situation. Are they far away, or what's the setup?
No, they're in London.
Right.
And it's my sister's side of the family, and we plan to go and see them. That's the only other household we were mixing with, and I have every intention of going, whatever the government says.
Right. So how many people are we talking here? So it's 2 households, is it, or 3?
Yeah, 2 people in my household and 4 in theirs, 2 kids, 2 adults.
Right. So you're still rule of 6 there, aren't you? And you're coming to London?
Yes. I'm in Kent, which is a Tier 3 area.
Right.
They're in London, which is a Tier 3 area. It's not like the measures have worked so far, Sheila. Have they?
It's not what, sorry?
It's not as if the measures have worked so far. In Kent, we've been effectively in lockdown for 6 weeks, and it's made no difference. So,
in what way? Hang on. In what ways it made no difference? It may have slowed down
the
hospital
rates have been
admissions.
going up. They've been going up.
The rates.
Can I finish, please?
You can, except you're saying some wrong things. So I'm trying to correct it
I'm not,
in terms of accuracy.
With respect, because the rates have been going up in Kent through the 4 weeks. Don't say, oh God, through the 4 weeks of lockdown.
I'm saying it, I'm
and
afraid,
the 2 weeks
Lisa, because there's some important context that listeners need when you say 6 weeks of Tier 3 is having no effect. It depends what it's having an effect on. 4 weeks of lockdown
plus 2 weeks of Tier 3.
Right, but it depends what it's having an effect on. The aim is to stop people ending up in hospital. It's not about infection rates only.
That's one of the key measures, isn't it?
It is one of the measures, but there are up to 5 factors that the government use to decide who goes into what tier. And the most important of them isn't actually the infection rate. If everybody under 20 is getting high, or in the numbers of infections, it's not as big a worry as if everybody over 60 or if all of the infections are in the over 60s and therefore ending up in hospital and therefore ending up in death. Those are the calculations that they make. So for you to say it's not working isn't necessarily true.
I think if it had worked, we wouldn't have gone in at Tier 1 and come out in Tier 3, would we? So I think we can say it's not worked.
Well, it depends what measure you're using, Lisa. We'll have to disagree on that because I don't have Kent's figures in front of me. But I'm telling you, for context, it's more than just infection rates.
Yes, but I'm telling you that because we went into Tier 1 and came back in Tier 3 after 6 weeks, it has not worked. And I do see, and I am also tired.
Still is ignoring the logic of what I just said to you, but I don't think we're going to get much further on that. So, if London had stayed in Tier 2, your Christmas setup would have been absolutely fine.
No, it wouldn't have done, would it? Because I'm in Tier 3.
You can still travel. You just asked not to.
Well, we're told no household mixing in Tier 3, aren't we? So it's not about the tiers. It's about the 5 days of relaxation. If that changes, we won't.
You're going to do it anyway.
Yes. If my sister's family is happy to, yes.
And why is that? Why is that?
Because the way I see it is that we don't know how long this is going to go on for. I keep people hearing saying it's only one Christmas. We don't know that. Back in the summer it was it's only one Easter, it's only one summer, it's only one autumn. We don't know. And I think we should be allowed. I mean, it's like we're allowed to go to work. We're not allowed to see people over Christmas. And I think, there's no way the government should be telling us we can't do that. If we want to do it, if people we're with are happy to do it, we should do it.
So it's not so much about the figures for you. It is about the whole idea of the government being able to tell you whether you can see your family at Christmas.
It's a combination. It's about that, but it's also about the fact that I do not say, and I know you disagree with me, but I don't see that the measures that have been imposed have worked. I don't think that has to do with people not following the rules, because where I live, people are. So it's not as if, I don't agree that people should be blamed for the fact that the rates are going up. It's down to people not complying.
And
if I said
to you, fewer people over 65 are dying of the disease in Kent because of these measures, would that convince you it was worthwhile?
I think if you look at all of the statistics in total, I don't think it is working, no.
No, that's not an answer to my question. You saying I don't think it's working isn't an answer to my question. If you could see that it was stopping people over 65 ending up in hospital with COVID and dying of it, would you behave differently?
If it could be proved to my satisfaction, yes. If you were able to demonstrate that, I don't think you can. But yes, if you could,
can you demonstrate to me that it's not working?
Well, just looking at the numbers, I log onto the BBC website every day and I see the rate's going up. Now, the death rate hasn't gone up very much at all in Kent. the infection rate it's gone up exponentially. The death rate has never been very high in Kent. And I look at the figures every day.
Well, I'm not in a position to argue with you about the death rates in Kent because I don't have them in front of me, so I'm not going to. But for you to say that overall lockdowns and restrictions on human contact isn't inhibiting this virus, I'm afraid it's not true, Lisa. You know, we wouldn't have the situation that we are in if people were not pulling back on their activities as they are. It would be worse.
But the thing is, Sheila, the government is making choices. The government is saying we can go to work. Now, I'm a key worker and I have to go out and mix with people. Schools are open. Shops are open. Yeah. You know, so it's not like choices aren't being made. So it's kind of hypocritical to say to people like me, oh, you're being selfish. You're not thinking about everybody else. When decisions are being made all the time, which are contradictory, which actually have loads of holes in them, and yet as the public we're expected to suck all that up.
But do you accept that in a shop and in an office we behave differently than when we're in a living room or a dining room with our family and friends?
I'm not sure we do,
and
Sheila.
Booze,
we're in confined spaces. We're in confined spaces. We are. I mean, you know, I can speak for the work that I do. Was I go into companies' offices. You know, it is not so different. And we're able to do that. Kids are able to go to school. You know, and they're mixing inside. So to say
but we know that schools have a problem. We know that schools are now where the disease is most prevalent. Age group.
We don't know that.
We do know that the age group of high school children is now where the disease is most prevalent. That's become clear over the weekend.
Well, we know that's a factor. But I think there's loads of other factors. I think that, you know, ultimately we are allowed, we are permitted to mix in all sorts of situations.
The point I'm making is it doesn't matter if it's a school or a shop or a workplace or a living room or a dining room or a garden. It's human contact. And clearly a decision has been made to limit some and allow others. And that there is always a dance between those two. Free up somewhere, tighten up somewhere else. And it's just a question of where we do that. And if we tighten up nowhere, Lisa, if we tighten up nowhere and everybody does what they please and sees who they want and hugs who they want and touches anything they want and goes anywhere they want and mixes in busy rooms and busy trains and busy nightclubs, and if everybody did that, you know that the figures of this pandemic would go through the roof if we did that.
I think my point really, Sheila, is we don't know when this is going to end. We don't know when the end point of this is going to be.
Well, we kind of do, don't we?
No, we don't.
Well,
because we don't know how long the implementation will take.
Of the vaccine?
So yes, and also
but it will end when enough of the population is vaccinated. Well, we get vaccinated again a year later like we do with flu.
Well, we don't know how long vaccination efficacy will last. We don't know whether it will be affected by mutations, such as the one that was announced yesterday.
But the flu vaccine is affected by mutations all the time, and then we effectively we inoculate people every year.
Yes, the flu vaccine is, but it's only given to a small percentage of the population. This has to be given to everybody, doesn't it?
Adults,
for it to work. Yeah. So my point is that when we have no...
So you're throwing the towel in, is what you're saying?
What I'm saying is...
You're throwing the towel in,
if you let me put it in my own words, if that's all right with you.
Of course.
What I'm saying
and I'll do the same if that's all right with you.
I would like to have one day with my family this Christmas, if that's all right. And I don't think that's unreasonable.
And are you not seeing them at all in the meantime?
Well, we're not allowed to, are we?
That doesn't seem to stop you.
Well, I haven't, actually. So, again, you're making assumptions that I have. I'm saying I think that's not an unreasonable request to make. If people don't want to and choose not to, that's fine. That's a matter for them. But for government to make it unlawful, I think would be absolutely, shocking. And it would be an infringement on our right to choose. If we are happy to do that and we want to do that, we should be able to for one day in a year.
And you're going for one day, are you? Not for the 5?
No, just one day. Just one day. That's it. That's all I want to do.
And then when you go back to Kent, will you still operate as though everything's failing, or will you stick with some rules?
I'm sticking with the rules, Sheila. Again, you're assuming that I'm not.
I'm not. I'm asking you whether you are. I thought you're implying that I'm not. I am. I wear my face covering. I socially distance. I do a job where I have to go out and mix with people, but I practice all the measures you're supposed to practice. Mm-hmm. I do all of that. I don't like doing it. I don't believe it works, but I'm doing it because they say we should.
And I think in return for that, one day is not too much to ask.